Hi, welcome to Air Cooled Anything. Today I'm working again on a 2017 cc CB Performance Builder's Choice engine kit. A part of the puzzle I've been waiting to come. I think I ordered it back in February and it's now July. So it's taken months and months and months to get here, is the exhaust system. The guys at CB Performance recommended A1 full flow, well not full flow, but big bore exhaust, and so I contacted them, and it's like trying to get blood out of a stone, but it's eventually turned up and I'm very excited, although the box, as you'll see in a sec, is looking, it's been shipped from the States here to the UK and it's looking a little bit worse for wear, so I'm a bit tentative about opening it up and seeing what's inside. Hopefully it's all going to be okay, and so that's what we're going to be doing, hopefully, is bolting on this exhaust, which is a huge milestone in the engine build. As you can see, the box is actually wet, damaged. See a bit of the exhaust there, that's quite nice. So I've got my knife. What have we got here? Sidewinder muffler, stainless steel. Well, there's the bits which I was worried might fall out. Some stickers, the clamp which holds the muffler onto the header, and a bracket to attach to the body of the vehicle. That is part of the header. I mean, it's going to work, but if you look at the welds, they are not the world's best welds. I saw a post about guys comparing CSP exhausts and A1 exhausts, and some guy commented, he said, when it turned up, you know, for the money I paid, and this has cost a lot of money, nearly over £1,000 with shipping. I want a stack of dimes, not a pocket full of change, and that's exactly what's happening. Without the welds there, I mean, that's sort of my standard of welding. No. Aha! So this is heater box. So slightly bigger bore than your stock heater box. That's great. Flaps working okay. This will be the muffler. Where's my knife? There's the muffler, so that tucks up underneath back of the bus. There's a hidden tip so you can't see it, but you'll certainly be able to hear it, I think. Doesn't appear to be any dings. Can never find the start of this stuff. No dings. Oh, there is a ding on this end here, look. Oh, can you see that? Oh. Ding there. It's £1,000 exhaust, turns up, and it's got a ding on it. I mean, if this was for a show car, you're going to be really, really angry about that, aren't you? One of these rocks. And there's the rest of the header. So obviously it's made with this section is a slide fit, so that you know you can cope with different size pistons and cylinders, and that should just, once it's bolted in and it's running, that should just self-seal. So we'll bolt it up without any compound or paste in there, and then we'll see how that works. Oh yeah, here's the other pipe. And that attaches to the other heater box, I imagine. Again, welding, very disappointing. I mean, that is what, that sort of like standard of welding there is what you expect all over, and this is just pretty shoddy. I mean, that's just MIG welded, or poorly TIG, actually it's poorly TIG welded there, you can see. Ah. And then we have a bag of nuts and bolts. I've got no idea where they go. I should imagine they connect the heater boxes to the, yeah, they'll be connecting the heater boxes to the header. So let's mock this up, let's get this on. Now before I can start bolting on the exhaust, I've got to fit the studs to the heads, the cylinder heads, which I should have done really before I put all the tin on. Would have made it a lot easier. So I'm just going to put these on first. I'm just going to use a little bit of the blue Loctite just to make sure they stay there and don't vibrate off. So just going to double knot these dibble of the blue Loctite, and then just screw them in. Haven't got to be too tight. And I'll do the other 7 just the same. So studs are in, and I just offered up the exhaust, and here's the pitfalls of mocking up your engine tins and then sending them off to get powder coated before you've got the exhaust. I was impatient, and the exhaust was taking months and months and months to come, so I went ahead and did the engine tins. And the cylinder head tins, the aftermarket ones, need to be trimmed around where the exhaust sits, and also the underside tin on the non-stock one I used, the aftermarket one there, that's also got to be trimmed and cut, because the flanges that have come with the A1 exhaust, these brand new flanges, are wider than stock ones, so they sit, I don't know, about 2 mil wider than the flat surface of the flange on the cylinder head. So with the tins as they are, they simply don't bolt on. I can get the gaskets on, but exhaust will not bolt on. So carbs have to come off, tins need to come apart, need to cut the tins, put it all back together, and then I can bolt the exhaust on. I'll show you what's happening now. So it's easy to see on this rear left-hand exhaust port. The gasket goes on, just about clears the flange on the cylinder tin here. Obviously not going to be a problem on the original stock tin underneath. But when we get the exhaust piece and we offer it up, it doesn't go on any further because it's basically hitting against this. So this flange here needs to be trimmed. It's the same on the back for the heater box on that side, and I assume it's going to be the same on the other side too. So the tins are all off, and obviously tins coming off is nice and easy. Putting them back on is going to be a different kettle of fish, because some of them need to be cut, and then the raw metal edges will have to be touched in with a hand brush just to stop them rusting. So let's try and bolt up this exhaust. So the first thing I'm going to do is just fit all 4 of the gaskets, exhaust gaskets into these things. You might see, you can see that I've left the underside tin on this side because it's already been cut back quite a way more than it needs to be around the exhaust there. It's an old original piece that I bought second hand. So this is the heater box for this side. Hopefully, yeah, it goes on. Yeah, and it overhangs by quite a long way. So that's that one. This one here is still wrapped up. Oh, yeah, so they come with these tabs which are supposed to line up to your bottom engine tins, which I've already noticed don't. Folded in, so I'll fold those out without breaking off the spot welds. We'll neaten these up later. There you go. There you go. There's the heater boxes just slapped on, and some nuts on there. And in the kit that comes with the car, got a set of washers and a set of M8 12 across the flat nuts, which you sort of need them for this sort of application. And there's not a lot of room if I get a ring spanner on there. Just going to put it on loose to start with. A little bit of play, which is good. There we go. Next is the header, and we have to roughly assemble it. Go on. I'll see what I'm doing. There we go. Got a tag on it. Take the tag off. And then with me standing directly in front of the camera, not being very helpful to you, we're going to try and get this to fit. I hate fitting exhausts. Oh my god. Well, first impressions are it fits really well. Apart from the fact it just fell off. Sorry, it's a great shot of my ass. I'm wondering if the moustache bar can get through with this on, or do I want to just mock this up like this, leave it like this, and then fit the tins. Yeah, they match up really great. Now, are there any gaskets to go between the header and the heater tubes? I mean, none came in the CB kit. Have any come with the A1 exhaust? I will go and have a look. So I had to rummage through all the packets and stuff that came with the exhaust, and no gaskets which attach the header to the flanged heater boxes, which is really disappointing. I mean, the amount of money I spent on this exhaust with these guys, and they can't even be bothered to chuck in some gaskets. I mean, how much do they cost? A couple of dollars, you know what I mean? And then looking up, I went online then to look up what's the best sort of gasket to use, and CB Performance were talking about bolting up A1 exhausts to their engines, and they're saying you can use any gasket to their heads, but the copper gaskets are not to be used. And I'm not sure of this type, and they're not copper. I don't know what's in the middle of them, so I don't know if I shouldn't be using these. It's like aluminium, and then they press down. So I don't want to fit these and then find out that they're no good, and have to take the whole thing off on the car. So what I'm going to do is, I've got some thick gasket paper, and I'm going to make my own. And I'll show you me making those. I mean, pretty simple to do. So I've got the gasket, came with a kit, which makes you wonder if it's not something you're supposed to use. Why does it come with the kit? Anyway, it says paper gaskets are the best thing, so I'm using that as a template because it's the right size. This is some gasket paper. I don't know how thick it is. It's relatively thick. Made in England. So I need 6 of these. So you just draw around them like this, and it's very simple. I'll use a knife to cut out the central hole, and I'll use a hole punch to cut out the stud holes. And I haven't got one that's big enough. I really should get a gasket punch, like a M8, M6, M5, M10 punch, but I haven't got one. It's on the list of tools to get. I seem to be making more and more gaskets at the moment. So there we go. Here we go. Now the fun part starts. Now I've got like an old leather punch. You can see that you'll see that the hole is not big enough, so I have to like kind of go round. It makes a messy hole, but they work. I've made plenty of gaskets like this. So you get the hole like that. And whilst I'm doing this, I'm just thinking, why wouldn't these gaskets not work? There's like a paper compound between them. So I think I am going to fit these. I am going to fit those. I mean, despite the fact I've just gone to all the effort to make these, but so I'm probably just going to make 2 of these. Finish off 2 of these. One. The best looking one. That's quite a good looking one. There you go. I am going to fit these. We're going to try them. So I've just had to offer this up. This type of gasket. I can see why they're not applicable, because the bit that compresses and makes the seal, which is this ring here, sits inside the diameter of this flange. So it's no good. I mean, this is the right aperture for the exhaust port from the head. and obviously the gas is then allowed to expand once it gets in here, but you're going to get gases coming out the side, so I am going to fit paper gaskets, and I'm going to trim this hole a little bit bigger, so that it matches up exactly with what's coming out of the head, because it's about a mil all the way around narrower, so just to allow proper full flow. And then these gaskets are useless for here because they're not the right size of the flange, and also the hole is massively different, massively bigger, so I need to make 2 more. So I need 4 of these. I made 2, didn't I? I don't know where the other one is. So I need 4 of these, and I need to make 2 new ones for the header to the heater box flanges. So that's what the paper gaskets look like. So they're totally matching the internal diameter of the head. I put the left-hand side under tray on, and I've had to cut it sort of along here so there's no flange, and I've just brushed on some enamel, black satin enamel paint on the edge to stop it corroding, or to help it stop corroding. It probably will, but you know, it looks nice and neat now. So I'm going to put a heater box on one side and the left-hand side of the engine, and just to see where it marries up to the under tray, because it's got these tabs that come off the heater box, and they're supposed to screw into the engine tin. So I'm going to have a look at those. I might have to drill some more holes in the engine tin and put in some more of those captive nuts, which I used on the fan shroud, just to screw the just to stabilise it all. So with the heater box just resting on there on the new paper gaskets, we can see that the tabs that are attached to the bottom engine tin don't match up. So I'm just going to drill some holes here and here and put in some captive nuts, and then we'll have engine tins which just bolt these straight on. So I've had a bit of a mare. I drilled the holes in the bottom of the engine tin to mount the heater box, and it all matched up nicely, but then when I tighten the heat box down and tighten the exhaust down to mock it up further, it slipped out of line. So I've done a few things since I've turned the camera off. I've cut the cylinder tin on 3 and 4. I've been working on the 3 and 4 side, and I've managed to get the heater box to kind of fit roughly which is good. Sorry, I was just looking at something. And yeah, so it's going to work, and it's going to be all right. I'll show you. So here it is. I've just about got the holes to line up, and I've had to, if I was to take that out, I've had to slice the end off of this one to just about grab it on, and in doing so I've cut my finger. So literally sweat and blood, no tears yet, but sweat and blood. And I also notice it's very, very tight here, it's touching, so I wonder if I should just clearance that out, just to make sure that sits. It's not actually, no, it's fine. Look, if you look, there's a bit of a gap, it's fine. Okay, so I am going to bolt this on for the last time, I hope. I am going to use some gasket, some silicone. I have this Permatex Ultra Copper Advanced Formula maximum temperature gasket maker, and I put that on my exhaust when I do them. I know you're not supposed to really use sealant when you do an exhaust, but I just think, you know, why not? It's not going to do any harm, and once this stuff's on, it's you know, like properly gonna seal it up. It's not going anywhere. So I'm going to put some of that on, and we'll get this heater box on. So I put a smear of it on like that, and I've also with a paintbrush just touched up the edges where I've had to trim the tins back a bit. Doesn't look as nice as the powder coat, but you're never going to see it, and it'll hopefully stop it corroding a bit. There we go. we'll get the heater box. Gently offer it up. Only just the front end, or the back end, only just clears the cylinder head. And cylinder head tubes. If I'd gone with those wider, the wider pushrod tubes, it would still fit, but it'd be even more of a nightmare to get on. So what I've discovered is, if I just put everything in, get silicone everything. Yeah. If I put all these engine tin screws in loosely to start with, then it's good to get it going. That one in. See, I've had to. You can't really see, can you? Oh, sorry, I've got the music on. Sorry about the music. So as you can see, I've had to slice the end of this out, which actually now it's on like this. I probably didn't need to do that, did I? It looks like it lines up. It seems to, every time I put it on, it seems to go back in a different place. So I've just put these on loosely to start with, like that. And I've got these nice stainless penny washers. Oh, there we go, that's why, because I haven't got the bolts in to the header. Put those in. Loosely to start with. Just going to get it loose. And we'll tighten it all up. I noticed that I just tested all these fastenings that come from A1 and from CB Performance, and they're all they're not stainless steel, which is a little bit annoying because I like stainless. It doesn't rust, does it? It lasts longer, stronger. So I'll put these on. I tell you what, I think I've learnt a lot from doing this side, and doing the other side hopefully is going to be a bit smoother, because I'll just button it all up tighter on that side first before I drill any holes. Just got myself in a bit of a pickle. Struggling to put it on with my right hand because me cut my finger. Right, there we go. I'm going to turn the music off. There we go, that's clearer for you. I've got the music off. So I am going to find all my spanners. 12s on the back, and then these are 13s. And I'm just going to tighten these down. The header bolts. I mean, I haven't put the gasket in here. This is just for mopping up purposes. Just so it all aligns. Really nasty cheap old fastenings, I think, because the nuts don't even spin on freely. Keep getting snagged up, which says to me they're really bad quality threads. High quality threads, high quality fasteners. Does like half a turn and then gets caught. Another thing I've noticed is I have obviously heater boxes because I want heat, so I need the fresh air tubes coming out of the fan through the tin that covers the exhaust and into the heater boxes, and normally they're a bit of a faff getting them around the pipe that comes out of your number 3 and 2 cylinder, but 3 and 4 cylinder, 2 and 4 cylinder rather. But these are, I'm gonna have to like squash the tube in and Jubilee clip them. I bought a brand new set of these, which sit in on top of the heater box, and then you just push the the corrugated tube over. No need for Jubilee clip. Well, that's not going to work, so it's going to have to be Jubilee clips, which is a bit of a shame. It also makes it a pain if you ever need to take that tin above the exhaust off for some reason. Not that you should really have to do that, but if you did, then you have to get underneath and do those Jubilee clips first. Right, so that's those. Start tightening up these ones now. This is the actual business end of it we want to be doing. And like a lot of things on engines, the spanner accessibility is a nightmare. You can't get a socket in there, can't get a ring spanner on there. It's got to be open-ended. Very little room. Because it's such a fat exhaust for a small engine. On the CV website it says that you should, after an hour of running in, you should retorque your exhaust bolts, which is a really good idea. I've never really thought about doing that before. I've never done it before. I've always just thought, yeah, I've done that. Job done. Don't overdo it. There we go. Heater box on. So now we'll tighten these down. Now that's all aligned. So actually I'll start with these. These are all loose at the moment. See some paint's chipped off. That was when I was mocking. That was when I was mocking these up. Nice. There we go. Right, I will do the other side and I'll get back to you. So this side was very, very easy. I just had to elongate these holes a little bit. They matched up with the stock engine tin. So there you go. Stock, this side, easy. Other side, nightmare. Aftermarket, always the bloody way, isn't it? So gasket on this one and sealant on, and it's all in place. I have absolutely no idea what that is for. That bracket there, no idea. Find out, I suppose. Because whenever I've done engines in the past, I always just take the heater boxes off and I run no heating. But as this is a family vehicle, which we do use in the autumn and early spring, heating is required. Hence, ugly heater boxes. So there we have it. Only thing to do now. Oh, and I managed to get that tin on there. Just went on easy actually. As you can see, it needs to be tightened down. A few gaps and stuff. Yeah, it just needs to be tightened down. So the only thing to do to get the carbs back on is to get number 1 2-cylinder tin fitted. So a little bit of trimming, a little bit of hand painting, and that can go on. So I've noticed, after mocking it all up and spending all that time and putting sealant on the gasket and getting the heater boxes on, that it's just painted in primer. Again, I paid so much money for this exhaust and you expect it to be coated in something a little bit more protective and long-lasting than primer. The primer is just going to burn off. So I've just ordered some high temperature grey paint, which is a pretty good light sort of grey colour matches the original parts, and I will spray those up in the next few days. So I have to take it off, take the sealant off the cylinder head, cut some new gaskets and go through the assembly procedure again, but that'll be pretty easy because now the tins are cut to fit and all the holes line up, so it should be relatively simple. When I was fitting these heater boxes, I was like, what's this all about? This thing here, and of course that's the hanger for the muffler. So the muffler comes round, Sidewinder comes round here, it's got a mounting post on top of it, and they supply a bracket somewhere. There it is. Supply a bracket, and the bracket bolts on there to the muffler. So I was just being a doofus. I pulled the heater boxes off to paint, and before I painted them there was a few greasy hand marks on there, so I got out my panel wipe solution, this stuff, degreaser panel wipe, and I just gave them a wipe down. As I wiped them down, it just took all the paint off the tubes, and there was a different colour and some of the paint off of the heater boxes, and you can see where the heater boxes have been seam welded onto the tubes. I did a little bit more investigation with a magnet, and the J tubes inside the heater boxes are stainless steel, and the flanges unfortunately are steel. Otherwise I could have just left the J pipes poking out either end, the heater box raw stainless steel, and just painted the heater boxes, but I'm going to paint all of it. So to do that I have bought some VHT, very high temperature paint, engine enamel primer. This goes up to 550 degrees Fahrenheit or 288 degrees C, which should sort of cope with temperature from what I read online from forums. The top coat I'm using, which is paired with this, is called Ford Grey. Very similar colour to the original heater box colours, and it doesn't really cope with the paint, with the heat rather, too well. But the heater boxes themselves, which is the main bit you see, will be fine because they don't get as hot, so we should be okay. So I've put one coat of this on. The can says to put 3 coats in total, which is what I will do. And I have to say that this paint goes on beautifully well. It's coated it really evenly, no runs. So I'll do 2 more coats, and then I'm waiting in on the delivery of the top coat, and we'll paint it in the top coat. So I'm now going to coat it with similar sort of paint, same manufacturer, VHT, high temperature engine enamel. This is Ford Grey, goes up to 550 Fahrenheit, 288 degrees C. So probably going to burn off the J tubes, but the heater boxes will be fine. Well, this has got to be one of the worst rattle cans I've ever used. If I was going to do a review of this paint, I would give it 0 out of 10. It's got a what looks like a reaction with the primer, so it's got that crazing effect. Same manufacturer, you know, going to be compatible supposedly. There's runs. It's changed colour, even though I've shaken it for a good 3 or 4 minutes before using. It's very fine. I mean, not ideal doing it outside. Where it's a little bit breezy. Inside it will probably behave a little bit better, but it's very, very fine. It's uneven spray coming out, uneven colour. It's spattering. all in all, terrible. I bought 2 cans of this. I'm going to try the other can. This can, when I took it out, took the cap off, you can see there's paint spilled from the lid. So I don't know if this can's damaged or it's faulty, and maybe I'll send it back. I'll try the other can, but I'm going to have to let this dry. I'm going to have to flat it, probably re-prime it, and then try again. So look at that. That is some sort of reaction, isn't it, to the primer by the same manufacturer. And look, like, you can't really tell, but that's like a mid-grey, I'd say. And this one later on came out like a light grey. And look at all the crap and spatters. If I can focus on it. Yeah, look at all the spatters that came out. I mean, that's probably my fault, but I'm pretty experienced with rattle cans. And look, you can see that is actually, that's not where I've missed, that's not primer there. And then I've missed this section here. That's from the same can, like light and then dark. Furthermore, after reading the instructions on the can, it takes 7 days to cure. So I have to wait 7 days before I can flat it. I mean, I'm definitely going to try and flat it before 7 days. So I did actually wait 7 days for the paint to cure. I flatted it very roughly with 240 grit paper, nothing fancy. Just got off all the spotting and speckling and the sort of like over sprayed crazing sort of effect and the runs. And I'm going to use the other can. I've got 2 cans of this. I'm going to use the other can, see if I get better joy. I've shaken it now for about a good 3 or 4 minutes. Well, that's gone on pretty much the same as last time, except for the colours staying the same, because I think I shook it a little bit better. It seems to me normally with a rattle can, you just kind of like sweeping sprays and I kind of pulse a little bit, but this stuff, if you let it run more than a split second, it starts to spatter. I have got tiny spatters all over it. It's a really rough finish again. I mean, considering it's a heater box under an old Westie, it's going to be okay, but I mean, if you were going to do a show car, then it's not good enough. Well, if you were going to do a show car, you would be getting it powder coated, wouldn't you? Yeah, so it's good enough for my purposes, and I'm going to wait 20 minutes and I'll give it another coat. So I gave them another coat. It went on kind of spattery. You can see them hanging up here. It's kind of quite a rough sort of finish. The paint just spattered out the can. But it's way better than the primer they came in, and it's going to last. I'm not going to give it another go because I'm just going to get the same results. There's no point really. The only other option is to powder coat them, but this is not a show bus. This is just a everyday bus, and most of this paint's probably going to burn off anyway. So we'll get to fitting these up now. Right, I'm going to put sealant on the gasket for the heater box. Now I noticed when I took it off, I put a minimal amount on the gasket before, just a very small amount, and I noticed it did make a seal, but it only made a seal around the very middle bit, which is all you need. But I just looked at it and I thought, you know what, that doesn't look like enough of a seal to me. Not a very orthodox way of getting sealant out, but the tube's blocked up at the end, so I just cut a hole in it. It's not the right way of doing things. So I'm being a lot more liberal with the sealant. And again, this is ultra copper. Not sure if I mentioned that last time. Another Permatex product. we go. It's a 12mm wrench. Not sure if you can see, but there's a little bit of sealant squeezing out. There you go, which is a good sign. You don't want loads, it's just a little tiny thin bead. So once that sets, we'll have a leak-free exhaust. So I've come underneath to attach these two engine tin screws from the heater box to the bottom tins, and they didn't quite line up. I didn't want to risk crossing the threads, so I've had to loosen off those two 12mm nuts at the back just to get them to line up, and then when we tighten up the heater box it will pull, hopefully, the engine tin into place. I've also loosened up the other screws on this particular tin. This is, don't forget, this is the aftermarket tin, which we had the problems with because I had to put in new captive nuts. There we go. Now I can tighten up those two 12 nuts and the other engine tin screws. So that's one side on. I'll put the other side on and then I'll show you how they look. They're looking pretty good, I think. So there we go. Heater box is on. That was all a bit of palaver. Anyway, thanks for watching. Catch you on the next one.